morning. Got a little project going on in the garage today for you guys. It's a very nice 2012 STI. It's got a little wide body kit going on. It's kind of a purple color. Pretty cool. This car, I built this motor a while ago for this customer. This is a stage 2 block with forged pistons, and he's been doing great, and he loves the car. And he had a check engine light come on recently. He's having trouble with his air pumps, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of that today. So I'm gonna take you guys through that, and we're gonna tear into this thing. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of labor to get in there and deal with this. So I figured it'd be a good little video to show you guys, more than anything, pulling the intake manifold, intercooler, all the accessories on the top end, just, kind of doing a little guide for you. So let's get started. All right, well, we're well into the teardown here. You can see we got the power steering pump out of the way and the alternator out. AC compressor is loose, so we got that off, and intercooler's off. It's a little tricky on these cars, especially the 08 Plus. The air pump normally sits here. It's right there. We'll be putting that back on later after we're done replacing the air combo valves that are causing the code. But you can see there's a duct here that sits on the side of the engine that connects to the air pumps that brings the air to the valves back there. Now, you could probably see the valve right there, and you're like, well, why are you taking all this out? Well, I'm going to show you why you have to completely disassemble the top end of this thing to properly get to the other valve that's hidden underneath. So we're going to keep going here and commence teardown. All right, guys, well, as you can see, we've got the intake manifold off, and now we can actually see what's going on. So I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to explain how this air system works and why it's such a common problem on the STIs that they fail. It's actually a very simple system. It's for emissions only. So basically, I'll get that out of the way before that gets in the wrong spot. So basically what happens here is you have your combo valves. So you see here there's a valve there and a valve there. So basically this one is your secondary and that's your primary. Okay, so this valve has one function. This one basically just opens and closes as the ECU commands it. This one has two functions actually. So this one opens and closes also, but it also has the barometric pressure for the computer built into it. So this valve here, you see a lot of people commonly delete these. Well, we're not going to do that today because, not only is that not emissions legal, this car, we're trying to keep it emissions compliant. So this car has catalytic converters on it still, as you can see, it still has the stock cats, and we're trying to keep it compliant because we don't want to have any trouble with that. So basically what happens is a lot of people delete these valves, and you can, and that works fine. You have to do some, magic to the computer and, all that, but we won't get into that. Basically, there's a bad thing here. So if you delete that one, that has a barometric pressure sensor for the ECU built into it. What's going to happen is the boost compensation tables in the computer are going to be off. So your car's not going to run right, first of all. You're going to be either under boosting or over boosting depending on your elevation. You're not going to have any of the elevation compensation as well. So, you got to be careful when you're, modifying your car and deleting this stuff, and you got to know what you're doing. But since we're going to be just changing these valves out today and fixing the system, then we don't have to worry about it. So as you can see, the reason why we had to pull the intake manifold is because there's a hard line. I don't know if you guys can see it, but basically right here, that's a hard steel line that goes to this valve. It runs all the way under everything and goes down to the passenger side cylinder head. So in order to service this system, this is covered by the intake manifold. So we have to pull the intake manifold, unfortunately, to get to it. So we got that off. I'm going to come over here to the bench too and show you guys something else. So this is the intake manifold off the car. Whenever you have an intake manifold off the car on these Subarus, the STIs, WRXs that have the inlet tube, always inspect the inlet tube. So I'm not anticipating any issues because I've already built this motor about a year or so ago. So I inspected it, and I always do when I put motors together. But we'll take a look here, double check my work. So the inlet tube is right here. So what you want to look for is you always want to inspect it for any tears, cracks, or rips. This one is perfect. So there's no issues at all with this one, as expected, because it was already inspected not long ago. So if you don't do that, you can just send it back on there on the car with cracks or rips in it. It's going to throw off your mass airflow curve, and your tune will be off. You're going to cause the car to either run rich or lean, depending on your setup. Just get into a bad situation. So in order to change this tube, you have to do this whole job again. So if your tube is compromised, change it when you have the intake off. You will be much happier in the long run. Generally, these tubes, they last about 100,000 miles on the OEM ones. Everybody says, oh, the OEM ones are garbage, put the silicone ones on. You know, the silicone ones, you know, as long as you get a good one, they work fine. But I will tell you right now, nothing fits better than the OEM tube. And 100,000 miles out of a part is not that bad. You know, I usually buy another OEM one and I never see them again. So, you know, people that say the OEM tubes need to be deleted or changed out no matter what without replacing them, that's just wrong. It's false. So I'm going to get back to it, and I'm going to basically get these valves off here, get the new ones on, and keep going. All right, well, we got the air pump valves off here, and these are the valves we're replacing right now. So this is the one that has barometric pressure sensor in it and the valve, and this one's just the valve. So basically what happens with these things is it's just a poor design. So the system inhales oxygen, fresh air from the pump that's mounted on the front of the engine. That pump, let's see if I can show it to you guys here. So this is the air pump right here. It's just an electric pump, turns on, blows air out to those valves. And then those valves basically take that fresh air and they direct it through. They go in here and it comes out here to the cylinder heads. This one goes to the driver's side head. This one goes to the passenger side head. The purpose of this system is that when the car is cold and the catalytic converters on the car are cold, this brings oxygen into the mixture, into the exhaust, and makes it a leaner mixture and helps light the cats off quicker for emissions. So basically, cold start emissions is what it's for. These valves, they're very prone to failure because what happens is when you bring that oxygen in, it gets moisture in the valve. Moisture builds up in these valves and then it rusts them out and they end up sticking. So very common problem on the STIs from 08 plus, and it's not a cheap fix. These valves are very expensive. So yeah, that's an overview of the valves that we're replacing today. So I will get back to work here and then I'll show you guys the finished product. All right, well, here's the finished product. We got the air valves all switched out and everything's back together. So everything's fixed, ready to go. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's not really that exciting, but you know, I thought I'd at least take you along for the ride. It's a really common problem with the STI, and you know, it's a lot of work to fix it, but it can definitely be done, and fixing it right is the most important thing. So next video I have for you guys is going to be a little more exciting. It'll be a stage 3 build that I'm doing. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.